Hey guys, Kelade here. Welcome to my Mythic Opulence kill/commentary video. For this fight, I am going to be starting on the left side, but don't worry, we'll get teleported to the right side, so you guys will see both sides of this fight. And of course, that's one of the new things on Mythic difficulty is that there's going to be a debuff you get called Chaotic Displacement, and then after a certain amount of time, you get teleported to the other side. But we'll get back to that when that mechanic actually happens. As far as for the left side of the room, these volcanic charges or these volatile charges that you see on me right now, you just take them out, put them on the edges of the room, ideally as far back as possible, but generally for the first room, the boss phases pretty quickly, right? So it's every 10% of these mini ads you phase into the next room, right? And the second room here has the flame jets. Just to kind of give you guys a better idea of how they come out, which side you look for, there's two rooms of flame jets. You're seeing the first room. The fires always comes out from the outer edge, so whichever side you're on, it's going to be the outer edge. And then the second time you encounter a fire room, the fires will come out from the inner edge, just so you kind of have an idea of where you should be turning your camera looking. Once again, I get another volatile charge right here, right? I'm coming to the left, there's a boomy here, don't want to hit him with it, so I'll come back here, drop it over here behind the fire, and then I image regen, just leap through the fire. You're okay to go through the fire, you won't die from it, it's not going to instantly tick you and kill you, so you're okay there to do that. And then as far as for this room, the third room, it's kind of a mini break. All you have is the line chasing you, so you just have to pay attention. If it seems like the line is chasing you, just make sure you don't drag it through all of melee. It's not exactly easy to tell other than just like moving and seeing how the line reacts, because there's no indicator that you're the one that's being targeted. Maybe there'll be a weak word later on that shows you, but isn't right now. Of course, the crush that the boss does after you cast it, he will face the direction that he's going to crush, so just make sure you get away from that. It's probably harder on the left side to dodge the crush, just because if you're already running out with the volatile charge, you might already be somewhere where you don't have as much room to maneuver, right? Because if you're standing in melee of the boss like this, it's very easy to dodge the crush, right? Because you can either run through the boss, but just watch out when you're dropping this. It should be okay as long as you run all the way to the edge of the room, because the crush, it's not like a full cone that covers the whole room, right? There is a little bit of area where you could actually outrange it even if you're standing in front of the guy, but just try to be not right in front of him and you should be good to go for this mechanic. And then as far as for your cooldown use, like I just popped it on pull because I'll have basically siege breaker for every room that the ad is in, and that's a pretty good enough of a damage boost to just have enough damage going through each room, right? Because I think other DPS, the ones with longer cooldowns, they have to save it more. But so right here, swap incoming, you guys see the debuff. I do have the Chaotic Displacement right now, so I'm swapped to the other side. You want to be really careful because right there, right where I got swapped, that's where the ad was crushing, right? One good thing about the swap mechanic is when you get the debuff on you and you get swapped to the other side, for the next 10 seconds, as long as you don't move your character, you will be immune to all damage for like 10 seconds, but you also don't do any damage. So what you do is, as you see that you're about to get swapped, you just stop moving, right? You'll get swapped, and make sure that the instant you start moving you won't die, then you're good to go to start DPSing the boss, right? So just pay attention when you get swapped. Make sure you don't move the instant you're getting swapped, just in case there's some type of mechanic that's going to be landing on you as you land. As far as for like what's the most dangerous thing to be swapped on, it's if somehow the guy you're swapping with, let's say, just dropped a volatile charge and they were still on it for that millisecond. And then two is if you're getting changed to this side, if he does the flame around the sides. So right there, you guys saw we picked up the rubies. Gem, we can talk about the two gems. As far as for Fury is concerned, or I guess all melee is concerned, there's really two gems that you're going to care about. One is the Opal gem, which we didn't get here, and the other one is the ruby gem. The ruby gem, what it does, you guys can see a debuff on the boss. If you take a look at the bottom right on the mini boss's debuff bar, you guys see 20, 21, right? Those stacks that's stacking up. Now we're stacking up to 22. That is from the ruby buff. So every one of those stacks, the target takes 1% more damage. So you want to stack that up as fast as possible. All right, here we go. We get swapped again. So I'm just turning, looking, making sure everything's safe. Once again, we were in front of a crush when we got switched, but it's all right. We were able to move out in time. So we come to this side. You guys can see this side was a little bit lower on the ruby debuff. And the ruby debuff is actually, I think, probably the most important, one of the most important, I think, buffs to have in regards to mechanically in this encounter, because I think a lot of guilds, when they can't kill this boss, is because their raid messes up ruby. And you guys will see when we get to the boss, I think we end up with over 120 stacks on the boss, and we might reach 130. We'll see when we get to the end. But so each stack is 1% extra damage, right? So if we have 120 stacks on the boss, that's 120% extra damage, which is crazy. As far as for the other buff, the Opal buff, so right here we're not DPSing the boss because we want to kill both of them at the same time, so we just like stop DPSing for a couple of seconds. But now that, you know, both ads are going to die together, we try to kill them all at the same time. You really want to do that just so both sides, you know, get ready to run at the same time. Fortunately, I got, you know, transferred to the other side right as that happened. I had no idea which way I was facing right there. But speaking about the other debuff, so the Opal debuff, it's every new target you hit, you permanently gain a buff that makes it so you do 2% more damage for every, you know, stack of the buff that you have. So, you know, every new target that you hit, you start doing increasingly more damage. Generally for this fight, the boss is going to do 2 waves of ads, and he should die before the 3rd wave of ads, just because those Opal guys are going to have so many, you know, buffs from all the ads that they're touching. And of course, your, you know, red ruby debuff guys are going to have such high stacks on the boss, right? So right now we're already at 25 stacks. One thing is that the ruby stacks only last 2.5 seconds, so you want to make sure that somebody's at least hitting him. So auto attacks don't work. It has to be an ability. Right now in our raid, we have the 2 rogues doing it. I'm doing it as a Fury Warrior, and we have one of our Havoc Demon Hunters doing it. I know there's some guilds that do 3. I think mostly just to be safe, you want 4. And if you can spare a hunter to do it, right? If the hunter is not doing one of the other buffs that range has to do, it might even be good to do that. Because what if, for example, if all 4 of your melee has to go out, you know, and drop the liquid gold away from the boss, and, you know, they're not paying attention, they're not throwing like an ability at the boss, you might drop the stacks, and that can heavily slow down how fast you kill it. One thing you can do as a warrior, of course, you can always heroic throw. Heroic throw will count because it's an ability that hits the boss, so pay attention to that and definitely use that if you need it. As far as for our cooldown use in regards for our defensives, the whalings are probably going to be doing the most damage. We're going to be using our command shout on the last whaling that we'll see in a second. As far as our cooldown use, when you're actually on Opulence, so when he becomes active, it takes him 30 seconds to spawn the ads. So you kind of just want to hold on all of your cooldowns, because all of your cooldowns are longer than 30 seconds, right? And the ads are going to get blown up pretty fast. And you can kind of, just to be safe, you just kind of want to hold your siege breaker in between too if you can. Recklessness, unfortunately, if you use it on the first set of ads, which you should, you won't get it over for the second set of ads, but it's okay because everybody else is going to be doing so much more damage at this point, right? All of your Opal debuff guys are going to be crazy buffed. And now that the second set of ads are done, right, everybody's basically as max buff as they can. The boss will die very quickly here. So really quickly, let's go through the talents I took for this fight. Endless Rage, Double Time, Sudden Death, War Paint, Carnage, Dragon Roar, and Siege Breaker. Doesn't matter if you're doing Opal or if you're doing a Ruby. Gem debuff, talent setup works for both. You could switch War Paint if you want from Bounding Stride, but it's not that big of a deal, right? I'm pretty sure War Paint is probably better. And then, of course, we rally right there and the boss dies very quickly. A lot of the phase is going to be spent with the ads, you know, getting everybody to learn both sides of the ad room mechanics, because you will have to do both sides most likely. And then once everybody does that really well and people are just moving the goals as far as you can, right? You guys saw when I got the raining gold debuff, you know, I was running to the ramps upstairs. You can totally do that. You can probably even go further than I was going. So definitely take advantage of that if you have the speed and the mobility to do that. And as always, thanks for checking out the video, guys. Feel free to subscribe to see more. See ya.